Okay, we are going to get started. Welcome, everyone. We will be first starting with our agenda for our regular meeting, and then we will proceed into hearing each one of you from the libraries. So first, we want to confirm that we have a quorum of everyone. We have 6 of us out of the 7, so we do have a quorum to have the meeting. First, type agenda. Oh.
Right behind you.
Yes, we will, first off, we have 5, I miscounted. We have 5 of the 6. Do we want to approve the meeting minutes from last?
I make a motion. I make a motion to approve.
I second the motion.
All those in agreement, say aye.
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 All those in not, say nay. We approve the minutes for last. New business. Old business first. So updating the bylaws to the general neutral. At this point, we may want to wait on that because of the new executive orders may make that null and void. But we can change it. What would you guys like to do with that?
Is there a concern among the county executives about doing this?
This was prompted by Jeremy Shepard, the Director of Community Services. He wanted us to go back to the bylaws and make them gender neutral. I've provided each of you with a copy of the bylaws, and highlighted are the words chairman and vice chairman. And the suggestion is to turn them into chairperson. In both cases, vice chairperson, chairperson. Beyond moving whether or not you want to go gender neutral or not, you could make that decision tonight. If you decide that you are going gender neutral, then at that point, we would turn it over to Jody and ask what next steps would be, because it would have to be approved by the levy court.
So if just for clarification, we vote and then a member of levy court will either have it approved or not at that level above us, or I don't.
Well, we can't change our bylaws. It's something that needs to be, if you do change the wording, then it needs to be approved. That wording needs to be approved. And we can suggest to the levy court then that it is something that we've approved to have changed to be neutral, if that's the way we go, or we can say we're tabling it and we're not going to address that at this point, and we can come back to it at the future, or we can simply let it languish. But that's up to you.
Well, unless there's a discussion, I'd make a motion to approve.
Anyone want to second that? Or do we want to have that discussion at our next meeting? We want to table it to have it discussed at our next meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We will move that to the agenda for next meeting. Next thing is the Delaware Library Legislative Day. It's set for March 13th, 2025. Would someone like to discuss that?
Do you want to speak to that, Peg, or do you want me to?
I will.
Okay.
As your representative on the Council of Libraries, as you can read through, the legislative day is going to be March 13th. It will be held, I believe, at Dover Public Library in their meeting room Serenario on the first floor. And at that opportunity, you'll have a chance to learn how to be an advocate as you meet with elected officials throughout the state and through levy court, for those who we have a chance to see, and certainly how you can approach any of your representatives, including levy court, to talk with them about issues you might have for the general county and for your own specific area. If you're interested in speaking with your representative, please be sure to state that when you register, which is at the time you come in on March the 13th. Anyone have any questions in regard to that? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next thing is the Council on Libraries.
We have a town hall meeting that is promoted and attended and embraced by the Council of Libraries for the whole county, and that occurred in early December. It's an opportunity for the public to join us and participate in our new initiatives throughout the county for every library, the general concerns for libraries throughout the nation that also impact us, and give you an opportunity to share your views and needs. And those directly go to the library you are representing, so that the managers will know what your thoughts might be. I was not able to attend this time. I was out of the country. But Hillary, was there a normal display of sign up and people had a chance to share?
There was a very nice a number of people in attendance. They were thrilled to be able to take a really good look at the New Harrington Public Library. They enjoyed looking around the building, taking tours, and seeing all of its features. And I thought that the discussion was lively and informative.
Any particular takeaways, Hillary, you wanted to share for Kent County, or not particularly?
Not at this time, thank you.
And Director's Report.
Well, I have to admit, this is moving along at a very good pace, and I don't have a very long director's report. I will say that it seems like we have hit the ground running this fall into winter, and I'm sure that all of you are aware that there was an incursion at the state level, that recently there was an incursion at the city of Dover, and it seems that what we're all learning to do is combat cyber attacks and how to deal with them and how to find workarounds for those. And I will also say that Kent County was delighted to go back online, even if it did mean that today we weren't, but that's just a blip. The staff from the Delaware Division of Libraries, their IT department, has been awesome about answering questions. They're patient. They seem to have endless supplies of patience. I don't know where they find it. And they've been working from the smallest library to the largest library as they reinstate library after library across the entire state. So the fact that we've been reinstated means that we are kind of a small library. But I'm happy to have our services, and our public is delighted to have those services back. I think that they appreciate them even more, having not been able to access them for so long.
Well, before we start in with the libraries, why don't we go ahead and confirm? It says that our next meeting is scheduled for March 27th at 5:45 at the bottom. I just want to make sure everyone is aware of that, and it's at the Kent County Public Library. So I just wanted to make sure everyone sees that.
We're also still looking for a person for District 2. We seem to have hit an impasse. We can't seem to locate someone to represent District 2 for this committee.
I have a school board meeting that night.
Just an aside, as you listen today or this evening to the various reports by the libraries, or choose to then view them, they'll be available at the county website and a YouTube channel for the county. That will help to update you on what monies the individual libraries within the county are seeking, what they hope to do moving forward with their current budgets, and what they see the needs are for additional monies, and probably what will occur if they stay not stagnant, but just steady with what they currently have. We have some construction going on that's going to impact how they manage their annual budgets every year. So it's important that all of you know, and of course our levy court commissioners know, what the expectations might be and what we're actually capable of doing in supporting the individual libraries. Okay. Thank
Okay, so let's determine next meeting date, and then we can move into the presentations. Hillary, what days are better for the library? I'm good with Thursdays, so I can make that work whatever Thursday works for Dr. Wyatt.
Well, Thursday, the 13th is DLA leg day. The 20th is a doable thing. We could do that. Yes.
That's open for me as well.
All right. Well, then we'll
March 20th,
March 20th at 5:45.
5:45. That will be our next meeting. Everyone confirmed? Okay.
Confirmed.
Do we have all the libraries with us present to be able to start the presentations? Are you guys, well, let me ask the audience. We would like to go ahead and get started with those presentations. Are you guys okay with doing that currently? Okay, then we will go ahead and start to present. So our first presentation will be the Delaware Division of Libraries.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Dr. Annie Norman, the state librarian, and I am honored to be here yet again, and also to have collaborated with all of the libraries here on the library progress to date, as well as on next steps to come with all the new administrations in place. I do want to congratulate President Maston. She's a longtime library supporter, especially for the Smyrna Duck Creek Library. All right, let me see if I can do this. Yep, there we go. And not to steal anybody's thunder, but the state has provided a bonanza of library construction for the past few years. In addition to the bond bill 50%, then there was plus the ARPA match and community reinvestment funds. Kent County received money for a movable stage. Milford's receiving money for needs assessment. Of course, Duck Creek received the $13.1 million, and of course, congratulations to the new director, Pat Young. And of course, Harrington, congratulations to Harrington. They received the $9.3 million and had their groundbreaking. And as was mentioned earlier, our December library town meeting was held there. It was fabulous event because of their, they were so gracious to host us, and of course, you know, so exciting in their fabulous building. So now, no good deed goes unpunished, and now that we had all this bonanza of money for library construction, now everybody needs more operating funds. So the Council on Libraries is requesting $2.25 million increase to keep pace with all the construction for the expanded libraries and the services. So Department of State, I'm under the Department of State, and not the $2.25 million, they requested $330,000, which is in the governor's recommended budget. And the reason for that amount is because that was the amount that they were allowed to request for the entire department. And I believe the department has 18 divisions. We're one division out of 18, and the entire amount was requested for libraries, but as we know, it's not enough. And so we do have the Joint Finance Committee hearing is coming up in February, and the Council on Libraries will be represented again by Candace Vasella, who we're happy to have. She's a experienced previous federal lobbyist, so it's kind of handy to have that kind of expertise on the council. But going on, so thankfully, and thanks to Levy Court, who approved the tax districts and the tax rates for libraries, which is awesome. That's a huge milestone, and thanks to Kay Wheatley and Marlena for all their work on this. So the new Governor Meyer is a library supporter, we know, from the Newcastle County Libraries. And Secretary Char Patibanda Sanchez, I've met her in passing, but still haven't sat down with her yet, which I'm looking forward to. She was just approved, her nomination was just approved by the legislature. So the Delaware Library Catalog and Consortium have been successful for Delaware libraries. Unfortunately, except for the 2024 network ransomware attack, which was mentioned, which I apologize for, and which is behind us now mostly. As Hillary mentioned, we had a glitch today, which was unrelated. It was not the network. That was a DNS server, which will, of course, need to be replaced. So we'll be replacing that. DNS server is like an address. So it's not the actual internet that's down. It's the address thing that makes it work. So that's going to be replaced. So I would say that Division of Libraries has managed the Delaware Library Network since Y2K, since the turn of the century. So almost quarter of a century, and this is the first major outage. We have learned through all this that attacks like this it's a matter of when, not if, and as Hillary mentioned, the city of Dover's experiencing that currently. We were down 3 months. It's the public PCs were down. Fortunately, it was just the public PCs. Wireless was not affected. Or the catalog, and libraries did lots of wonderful workarounds for the public to keep services for the public. We were able to just recently issue an emergency recovery grant, $1,000 per library for the little wear and tear. Wish it could have been more, but we're trying to still fund the PC replacement this year. I think in Kent County, Dover's the only one up this year for PC replacement. So I did ask, of course, this was an emergency, right? Unexpected thing, not in the budget. I had asked Department of State for emergency assistance, emergency funding, which, they said yes, but then didn't give me, so or didn't give to the Division of Libraries. So that has not happened, and of course, this is the worst time for it to happen with the changing of the administration. And So I will be talking with the new secretary and hopefully, but in the meantime, we are kind of scraping things together. And I think fortunately I employ bag lady budgeting, which is kind of something we learned from all the financial literacy training that libraries have been through libraries and the money school. So I'm always afraid there's going to be a major emergency and we're all going to end out on the street. So we did have some finagling that we could do. So far we've funded the crisis, but it just means we can't do some other things. But we're still scraping to work on the PC replacement. So coincidentally, I think I was just asked today to be an advisor on a potential national project to prepare libraries for cyber attacks. And of course, I have a lot to share about that. But I needed it in September. That's when I needed it. So anyway, all right, I go next. So the Delaware Library statewide technology and facilities infrastructure makes us more effective in delivering outcomes and impact for our communities and our funders, whether it's state, county, and so on. We can help them achieve their aims. Delaware libraries are the backbone for the new Delaware Literacy Alliance. This is the first literacy initiative in Delaware that includes libraries and the first that is addressing literacy across the lifespan. The Delaware has the Science of Reading legislation, which was enacted in the past few years, which if you're not familiar with, basically educators were misled by ineffective literacy instruction curriculum provided by vendors, which resulted ultimately in generations of Delawareans unable to read or low literacy. I think the educators are back on track, are getting back on track now. But the NAEP scores, which are the national scores on reading and math, were just released yesterday. You may have seen, and of course, Delaware lost in reading again, or lower in reading again. So we still have a lot of work to do. Governor Meyer's priority is education, and our current key project in support of literacy is adding school libraries to the Delaware Library Catalog and Consortium. Reading and library use is a habit, and the goal is for every Delaware student to check out 2 books every week. This is the last mile to ensure all children are in book floods, even if they aren't taken to their public library yet, until they have this habit. So far, all of the Capital School libraries have joined, and Polytech Library, and please encourage your school libraries to join. And all they have to do is reach out to me. There's no charge. We actually have money for that. Plus, we received a $1.9 million earmark, federal earmark. That was thanks to Senators Coons and Carper. Now, of course, that's if the feds distribute it. That's we still got some unknowns there, but we were approved for that, and that helps refresh the school library's collections. And of course, as they're part of the consortium, those would be floating, and so all the libraries will benefit from that as well. And so right now, about half of Delawareans have a library card, and the goal is for 100% of Delawareans to have library cards and use the libraries regularly, and then that should help with funding as well. Not for you to do more work, but for you to have more support for what you do. And that's the highlights that I wanted to share tonight. And thank you, and I'm happy to take questions, if any.
Annie, what was the ranking?
I don't have that handy. We went down to 2 more points for reading. That's what I saw.
Thank you.
Yep.
And are we currently doing a literacy program in the libraries for non-English speaking adults, or no?
So there are a lot of ESL programs, but there are ESL programs in various libraries. I'm looking really for functional literacy. Sometimes the ESL, and even the ones that Literacy Delaware does, they're talking. You know, it's conversation, which that's a good thing, but that's not what we're ultimately trying to tackle. We're trying to tackle actual reading, and that's what. So I'm trying to kind of tease that out and make sure that we're actually focusing on literacy. And we don't, it shouldn't be, it was never library's job, librarian's job to teach reading. Librarian's role was about the joy of reading and making sure that they have the habit and they're lifelong readers and learners. And again, we thought educators were teaching reading, and then we just did the joy. And so we're having to step in to do some of this literacy stuff because we've got to help everything catch up. And so there's a lot of need for adults to learn to read, not just immigrants, but the ones that have come through the U.S. educational system. And so it's going to be a while, I think, where libraries can play that role to help people catch up. But I don't think that's a role that we'll have to do forever.
Is there any indication that the Department of Education is looking to libraries to work with them?
Are we talking Delaware?
DOE, yeah.
I am dying to meet with my boss, with the governor, and also the new Secretary of Education to say, we have this school library project. Would you please put it on the list? Because education's the governor's top priority. Add our project to this list so that it raises awareness of it, and so we get more schools to participate.
Last question, and that is, have you in some way gained support for your required relocation of the state library, given that that's now been deemed, what is going to happen to your space is not that it's going to be your space anymore. And I know it's been months now and you're still awaiting some relocation. And that's so very important to all the libraries in the state, including Kent counties, that we're able to reach out for the support we need, that your current team for infrastructure for the computers continues to occur. And that's going to be very problematic. It's not just you guys return to a COVID process. We need that physical input for training purposes in many cases. Zoom just doesn't do it. And we're hopeful you've had some success.
No, but thank you for asking. So what Peg is talking about, the Division of Libraries is located in the lower level, or I'm now calling it what it is, a basement of the Archives building. Archives is a beautiful building, but not necessarily the space that we're in, which is down in the basement, and we've had 3 floods. And we were displaced by the floods, but we're also displaced because, we got to replace the floor. And, now they're going to take out the HVAC unit and tear down walls. I mean, it's whatever can go wrong is going wrong. So we asked, and the Department of State did request $150,000 for a needs assessment, to go toward getting a new space. And so the Department of State requested it, but it is not in the governor's budget. So I will ask Council and Candace to speak to that, to encourage that to happen. We don't know whether it's because, there's a different process for state agencies or what, but the fact of the matter is we put public libraries number one, and we support them to the nth degree as much as we can, and now you all, even Harrington is a beautiful building that's been on my library bucket list for for years, and so even Harrington has a beautiful library, and now it's like, now can you please help us, because we just are in really the space is not functional for us. There's not enough room for all of us. We can't do what we need to do in that space. We have gotten pretty good at working remotely because of all these things, but we need appropriate space too. So thank you for asking. Anything else? Thank you.
Going back to the
Oh.
schools just for a
Go
second.
ahead.
I'm sorry. You were talking about that Capital and Polytech are both affiliated. The other districts, how is that working? Are someone talking to the superintendents? What's the plan in regards to trying to get those other districts to buy into the program?
So there's been efforts, there were several legislators who were interested, and, you know, we have met, like we've met with Caesar Rodney once, and but it needs more oomph from a higher level, and that's why I'm hoping that the governor will be interested in it. Frankly, the school librarians, many are reluctant to do this because they don't have local support. They're trying to do bus duty and, you know, all this other stuff, and many of them aren't certified. I mean, they're not librarians. They might be paras or you know. So there's whole lots of issues, and we're trying to reassure. In fact, I was on a meeting at 7:30 this morning with some of the school librarians, and they're like, well, we can't do transit, 'cause, you know, and it's like, if you have these great crazy schedules, you cannot do transit, you know, sharing. It's like, just do what you can do. This is not, we're not shooting on you. We're just trying to support you and help you showcase what's possible and to get to the supreme school library excellence that they deserve to be. But it's, you know, it's a lot of steps to get to that.
And with the funding you already have in hand to do this for the libraries, the librarian gets people support, support to then effect their entry into the catalog, whether they have support from their own school to do that, and then is that not correct?
So it's fully funded. So, and we've also learned that, you know, we say, well, weed, well, so they can weed first, because, you know, some of the stuff is older than the parents, older than the legislators. But what we found is that they can't do like the rebar coding, this, you know, they can't do any of that themselves. So we bring in the money that we have pays for a team to come in there and rebar code their entire collection, put on the RFID tags and all of that. So that, you know, we're not putting more pressure on them. I mean, they do have to go through training so they can learn it and all of that. And then with the money that we have to refresh their collections, that we don't like turn the cash over to them. We put it on deposit with the jobber, the vendor, and they are to completely process the book. So all the thing, you know, the book cover, the labels, all this RFID, everything that needs to happen to that book, the vendor does. And so when it arrives at the library, all they have to do is check it in, put it on the shelf. So it's, you know, immediately ready.
Thank you.
There's a hand.
My name is, Deb Lawhead from the public. Annie, did the shortcomings in your budget, is that going to be put into the SAFER grant to obtain funding there on the Delaware side? SAFE grant? Yeah, so technically these nonprofit, some of the nonprofits can ask for money in there. So like probably your Duck Creek and some other ones can ask for money there if they do it right. Just saying.
Well, that's good to know. What my experience has been with things like grant and aid. Typically, because libraries do get funding through the library standards line, they don't often get money in another way, although they do get the Community Reinvestment Act. So never say never. Go ahead and try and see if that'll work. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Any other questions or any other comments? Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Harrington Public Library is up for presentation.
Good evening. Thank you for having us tonight. We're very excited to share with you everything that's going on at the Harrington Public Library. So do I just point, or is there a clicker? I found it. Okay. So what we like to say in Harrington is that our number one concern is our local community and the Lake Forest community. So we'll go ahead and get into who we are at the HPL. So since COVID happened, one of our main goals has been to really be the hub of the community. We want our local police station, our local fire station, our local schools, whenever they think, oh, we don't have enough information about this, or we really need somebody to partner with to get something out, we want them to think of us. Since then, we have been doing more with our local fire department, and we are, now that we're neighbors with 2 of the schools, we've been doing a lot more activities with them as well. Our other goal is helping people in our community reach their lifelong learning goals, whether it be language or learning how to build something, or even learning how to craft for the first time. We've been trying to expand our collection to meet those different needs. And I have to say, since being in the new building, it's really surprising. Nonfiction books that I thought would never go out, people are actually connecting with them now. It just took better lighting in a new space. And our final goal is that we want to improve the quality of life for everybody living within our school district. Whether that's our free food for kids program, which we'll get into more later, or having access to the computers, which everybody in Harrington all of our patrons are very grateful that the computers came back up in December, and they've all been making use of those. Or there are still lots of pockets in the town that don't have Wi-Fi or access to the internet. Just being able to have that accessibility and use one of our study rooms. Whatever we can do to help out people in our community, we want to be able to do. So a little about how the city, or Harrington, is governed. So we are technically a department of the city of Harrington. We're also, and we try to go along with the guidelines from the Delaware Division of Libraries, and we're part of the Delaware Library Consortium, as are all the other public libraries in the state of Delaware. And as for, we have 2 library boards. We have an advisory board, which is more for guiding us on how to make different policies and things of that nature, or what new programs or activities we could bring. And then we have the executive library board, which strictly handles finances and looks at the money we get from the library tax district and helps us plan our budget for the coming year. So moving on. So right now at Harrington, we have 4 people on staff, 3 full-time, myself, my library assistant, Anna Brode, and the second one over. The third one is Michelle, and she is our children's coordinator. And then we have a part-timer, Nancy. We're getting ready we should have another part-timer coming on board, hopefully in the next coming weeks. It's been a little bit rocky with the new opening and everything, but we'll finally be fully staffed. So we're looking forward to that. So for professional development, All of our staff participates in webinars provided by the Delaware Division of Libraries. Again, very grateful that the division provides those for us, because we don't even have to leave the comfort of our desk chairs to learn new things that are happening in the library world. And we're also hoping that we will potentially have 2 college-bound students. Oh, what did I do to it? There we go. Okay. Hopefully we'll have our new part-timer that's coming in is in school for youth programming, and we're hoping that we can kind of influence him towards a lifelong career in libraries. And my library assistant is hopefully going to be going to school in the fall. Let's see. And we're also hoping to attend the MLA DLA conference that will be in spring in May. As far as construction and capital projects, I believe most of you have been down to the new library at this point. The building project was officially completed in September of 2024, and the only thing that we have on our horizon is potentially making some of our outdoor spaces better. We have a new teen advisory group that's been meeting. They've been giving us some input on different things they would like to see outdoors. We also, my library friends want to have an adult courtyard somewhere. They haven't finalized their plans yet or what they're planning on getting me to get them, but that is something that they're looking forward to doing, and we're looking forward to supporting them in that. There we go. As far as different technologies that we are offering at the library, we of course host our public access computer for patrons. We're also hoping in February to get a telehealth kiosk from, again, a grant provided to us by the Delaware Division of Libraries. It will basically be a cubicle where our people can go to meet with either a healthcare representative or maybe have job interviews. And it'll just be another space dedicated to people getting the services that they need in our community. We also have Chromebooks and MiFis for patrons to check out. And we also offer free online databases to people who are Harrington Public Library card holders. We offer Ancestry.com as well as Newsbank. And Newsbank has a bunch of things under its umbrella, like Heritage Hub, newspapers just that deal with Black life in America, and newspapers that just deal with Hispanic life in America. And all of those can be accessed through our website. And of course, also provided by the division, we have the free indoor and outdoor Wi-Fi. On for the collection development. So for the first time, probably since I've started working at the library 18 years ago, we actually have space to really develop our different collections around the library and put as many books as we would like. And I can honestly say that our public is meeting that needs with just piles and piles of donations of things they've been holding on to give us, to really analyzing our collections and figuring out what we have space for. We're really interested in adding new nonfiction for the children's collection. We also want to add and improve to our teen and graphic novel and manga selection. We'll also be adding more nonfiction for adults and for teens. As I mentioned earlier, it's really been flying off the shelf in a way we haven't seen previously. And I really think it's just that it's more accessible and people are better able to get into the stacks to find this information that they're looking for. And we will also be starting a Library of Things collection. Our friends have made their first addition to that, and since Harrington is getting pickleball courts, the Harrington Public Library will be circulating pickleball rackets. Because apparently at the courts you have to bring your own rackets. I know nothing about pickleball, I'm gonna be circulating the rackets. That's my that's my part of that. As for programs that we have going on at the library, we've been able to expand with all of our new spaces. We still have some of the old classics like book discussions and adult craft nights. Obviously, in our new space, we have a much better space for Delaware humanities speakers and people like that. But we're going to be adding yoga classes, and tonight even, we have dance classes for people to come in and learn. I think it's the box rumba. For teens, we're going to be doing craft activities for them. We also are trying to get some mindfulness classes going, and we've been working with the middle school to try to get some of their students to take advantage of that. We also have volunteer opportunities for our teens. Last Saturday, we had a winter carnival, and I think I had every other activity a teenager was helping the kids through their crafts or the giant axe throwing game or what have you. So we really want to get them involved and interested in library work as well. And as I said, we've restarted our teen advisory group and the snack program that we have for after school. Also, of course, the teens take advantage of that, everybody 18 and under. For our children, we have craft nights, story time, family fun events, just like our winter carnival. Once a month, we have the STEM giveaways from Engineer Early. We also do weekly craft giveaways. We offer them snacks as well. And I put STEM activities in here twice, but that's okay. But we've been trying to expand that a little bit more, especially now that we have the space, especially our maker space room, where the teens and the kids can really do different activities, and we're not as constricted as we were in our previous location. All right, so some of our collaborative partners, as I mentioned earlier, Engineer Early, they do local science kits. They put it together about 30 a month to give away. So we participate with them and we try to support them. And our families absolutely love having those STEM kits that they can take home and do with their kids. We've also been partnering more with the Lake Forest School District, and hopefully we're trying to push them towards joining the Library Delaware Consortium. Our friends are trying to convince them to go down that avenue. Another partner is Operation Warm, which is the coat giveaway that we do at the beginning of the year. We have also worked with our Harrington Historical Society. We try to support their programs and they support ours. And then the Harrington Senior Center. That's another kind of, we support them and they support us. And if they need, right now we're going to be sharing a yoga person, but I'm sure there'll be some things that I'll have that they'll want to steal in the future, and we'll go back and forth. So different services the library offers, obviously the free computer use, but we also have the ability to do genealogy searches, the Chromebooks, of course books and ebooks, DVDs and CDs still. We offer the streaming services through the state library. We also have magazines, and hopefully soon we'll be having full telehealth services. Right now, every Monday, we have a telehealth representative that comes in from 11 to 4, and she'll help people if they need help with anything with Social Security or getting a job. She just pulls them in and they can interview with her, and she'll help them get the services that they need. And then, of course, we have printing and wireless printing, and we have study rooms available as well as the meeting rooms. Again, there wasn't a lot of meeting space just in the Harrington area at all, especially not free meeting space. All of our meeting space, it's free to a nonprofit serving the Lake Forest community. And the only ones we charge are for-profit businesses or people that are outside our service area. And then, of course, we have our giant free snack program for children 17 and younger. We did take a break on that until we got settled in, but we restarted it January 1, and they're finding us. They always do when we have free food. So as far as community support in our friend groups, I mentioned the senior center as well as our Parks and Rec. We're going to be partnering with them for the pickleball. And also our fire company, they've been bringing their vehicles and things to some of our programs. But our main support comes from our friends group. Our friends group, they're a very busy group of ladies and a couple gentlemen, mostly their husbands that they make do it, but mostly ladies. So they just changed the book sale on me. Instead of the 12th, it'll be April 5th. And before that, in February, they're planning a dinner dance fundraiser. There's more information about that on our website. We'll also be doing a craft fair in May. And then last year, for the first time, they had a book fest in the Lake Forest area. That went over very well. We had lots of local authors, and we had a really great time, and we're hoping for a bigger turnout this year. And then their yearly Baubles and Bling sale, where they sell used and gently used jewelry and accessories. So anytime something's happening in our library, you can almost guarantee that the Friends will be involved and helping out in some way. As for the library tax district, this funding has greatly helped us before we moved into our new building. Previously, we were only allowed for that fifth person, a partial part-time person, but we'll be having a permanent part-time employee instead, which makes a huge difference in just trying to do all the activities we'd like to do. And it also freed up monies to cover the larger space. While some of our bills, we haven't been in there a year, so we don't want to say this is definitely what our bills will cost us, but heating and cooling alone. Even though the old building wasn't very energy efficient, our energy bill has about doubled. But considering the fact the building's 5 times bigger, doubled isn't terrible, but the monies from the library tax district has really helped us out with all of those new expenses that we're learning about in our brand new building. And that is it. Are there any questions? And I just thank you guys for the time of coming up and talking to you about the library.
Just so people can understand what a difference it is, can you
What's
tell
that?
them how small the original library was compared to the
The
new one?
original library was about 2,000 to 2,500 square feet, depending on which parts you consider usable. The new space is just under 15,000 square feet. So it's a big jump, but everybody in the citywide, district-wide are thrilled.
Are there any questions or comments? Including the audience, anyone have questions or comments for Harrington? Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you, ladies.
Duck Creek, Smyrna Public Library.
Well, I want to thank you all, the council members, for this opportunity to speak with you tonight about the current Smyrna Public Library and the soon-to-be Duck Creek Regional Library. And listening to Marlena and to Annie, and I want to thank both of them for their presentations. The theme that comes to mind that I want to kind of preface my presentation with is that we are stronger together. We are better together. So much of what you hear that goes on at any given library is supported not only by the wonderful resources from the state through the Division of Libraries, but in collaborative efforts with other libraries as well. So we are definitely stronger together. So we're in a different stage from where Harrington Library was. We're approaching Harrington's situation, which is very exciting. So we are in the current Smyrna Public Library. I should back up. I apologize. I've only been at the Smyrna Public Library since September 4th of last year. So I'm fairly new to the scene, and the element that brought me to that scene was the fact that I was very actively involved in the Friends of Duck Creek Regional Library probably about 10 years ago. I was on the board of directors, I was the membership chair, and so I supported Duck Creek Regional Library in that capacity long ago. And I came back onto the scene this past June as a result of an annual meeting that all of the past and current Friends members were invited to. And as a result of that, I'm now in the position I'm in today, for good or bad. Hopefully everyone thinks it's a good thing. So anyway, our current Smyrna Public Library, it's about 2,500 square feet. The current library has been in that space for years and years and years and ... And the process of trying to bring the Duck Creek Regional Library to life has gone on for 18 plus years. So it's been a long, long effort, and we are very excited to finally see that happening. The current library has one meeting room downstairs in the basement. It is not easily handicap accessible. It's a real challenge. We have very little space to work with. So that has held us back tremendously with our ability to provide programming, especially to the community. And in the new building, we will have amazing opportunities because we will be going from 2,500 square feet to about 25,000 square feet. That should be 22,000. I apologize for that error. But we are roughly 10 times larger. So it's going to be a game changer. The new library will have 2 large meeting rooms, and both of those will be fully handicap accessible because we'll all be on one floor. That will be a game changer. So we have members of the community that have been closed out in the past because of our facility. So right away, moving to a new building, this new structure, will enable us to be more welcoming and more opening to a broader segment of our community population. We'll be adding study rooms, individual study rooms as well. We don't have those right now. So this is the building in progress. And the picture on the right was taken probably, I would say about 3 weeks ago. Since then, we've had the paving done out in front of the building. So it is making great strides toward what you see on the left. So our governance has been interesting as well. Up until December 31st of 2024, we came under the Town of Smyrna governance. The Town of Smyrna did not budget for Smyrna Public Library beyond December 31st because the original anticipation on the construction project was that it would be completed by the end of last calendar year. It was not. Fortunately, our wonderful Duck Creek Regional Library Governance Board, which was formed well over a year ago, stepped in and took over the governance of the current Smyrna Library. So we are in this in-between situation where we have amazing support from all levels. It's just unbelievable. We have a governance board of 5 voting board members plus 2 at-large members. And one of the things I'm incredibly thankful for with this board is that we have professionals from the community that represent all of the key fields that can contribute to the success of an independent library. So we have business people that are well established. We have lawyers. We have insurance folks. We have people very well versed in human resources. So we have a governance board that is incredibly strong and well poised for success for the future. So currently we are fully staffed with 2 full-time and 7 part-time employees. That was the staffing model for the current Smyrna Public Library. And with the move to the much larger building, obviously we need to expand staff to enable us to provide the services in a safe environment in that new building. So we do anticipate adding 2 to 3 full-time positions, 1 to 2 part-time positions. I'm very happy to say that all except one of our current staff members will be coming with us to the new library. And that one individual is only opting out because he is relocating back to New Jersey. So he'd love to be staying with us, but his wife has decided otherwise. So as far as community outreach goes, you see some consistency with what Marlena was mentioning. We do also participate in the Operation Warm coat distribution program, which is a wonderful program that is spearheaded, again, by DDL. And we took advantage of that opportunity this year in a little bit different way. So we wanted to ensure that those coats made their way to members of the community that needed them most. In the past, we had distributed them out of the library itself in an open call. So while we hoped that the coats would make it to the most economically challenged community members, there was no guarantee of that. So we reached out to the Smyrna School District to help us identify those families that were in greatest economic need. And in that process, I discovered that the Smyrna School District hosted an annual winter harvest event that is by invitation only to the most economically challenged families in the district. And it runs, they bring in about 350 people that attend this one-day event, and they have all kinds of services and resources there. And we said, this is the perfect place to distribute those coats. But let's take it one step further. Could we be a participant in the program and introduce people who are not familiar with the library to that opportunity to come and join the library, to take advantage of our resources that are absolutely free of charge to every Delaware resident? So that was a very successful collaboration with the local school district. During that program, we gave out free books. We distributed applications for library cards in English and Spanish to accommodate a variety of residents as well. So the last bullet point on this slide is we have partnered with the Illinois Holocaust Museum and Education Center. They provide a program to libraries anywhere in the country, and they will ship us a virtual reality experience trunk. And we will have that on loan for about a week in the fall. And the idea is that this is going to support their existing curriculum and dovetail with their existing curriculum. So we're partnering with the teachers at the high school to get the students to come over and have this virtual experience. And the VR headsets are preloaded with videos that recorded Holocaust survivors and their stories. So it gives these students an opportunity to hear firsthand experiences from survivors. And this is going to dovetail with their instruction in language arts using Elie Wiesel's Night. Of course, we will be opening that opportunity up to the community as well, but our primary focus is the high school students. So we also have been partnering for a number of years with Polytech High School, or Polytech School District, excuse me, to offer GED classes. And we anticipate that that will continue at the Duck Creek Regional Library as well. And given the expansion of space, we will be able to also expand those classes. And we've continued to partner with AARP representatives as well to provide those courses. And we'll do that in the new library also. We also just recently added the teleservices specialist that Marlena mentioned. And again, I want to give a shout out to DDL. This is an incredible resource that has made its way into various communities and is assisting individuals that, I mean, they just rave about this. And we have had a substantial uptick in the number of people walking in the door just because we have this individual in the library every Wednesday from 9 to 3. And she's only been there for 3 weeks. Yesterday, she was out sick, and we had 15 people either call or come in hoping that she was going to be there that day. So they were disappointed. They'll be back next Wednesday. So we are also hoping to add ESL classes through the Polytech School District once we get into the new building as well. As far as programming is concerned, currently our space is just not conducive. We do have twice weekly story time. We have to have that event in our adult reading area because our children's room will only accommodate about 4 to 6 children at a time. And typically, we have anywhere from 15 to 30 children crammed into our adult reading area, which also isn't very large. In the new building, we will actually have an entire wing that will be our children's room. I don't know how many of you, Regina, you live in Smyrna, you know how this works, but those of you, other council members, I don't know if you've been in Smyrna at all, but there is a brick building on Main Street that was the Smyrna School District headquarters at one time. It was also a post office, and we are incorporating that building and adding on to it. That entire building will be our children's wing. So it will be a game changer. We will also, for the first time, have a dedicated teen lounge. Right now we have a teen bookcase. So that will enable us to address a segment of our patron population that really has been, unfortunately, kind of overlooked and neglected, more due to lack of space than anything else. We also will be having a dedicated inspiration space to encourage people in their creativity and developing other avenues that libraries can serve in these days. And we also will have a catering kitchen, which I think is really exciting. Not only will it support events, so it enables us to perhaps do some very creative fundraising, but in terms of library programming, it could also provide us with an opportunity to do food demonstrations, cooking classes, and those kinds of things right in the library building. So as far as community support goes, this is huge. We have the only Friends organization affiliated with a library in the state of Delaware that was formed for the sole purpose of building a new library. And to me, that's amazing. So this group came together solely to try to build a new library, and they're succeeding. After 18 long, hard years and a lot of effort, it's happening. So it goes without saying that our Friends organization has been hugely supportive of the role of a library in this community and beyond this community. And that will not change in the new building. We see them as being an integral part of our success going forward, not only with financial support, which is pretty traditional for Friends organizations throughout the state of Delaware, library Friends groups, but also as ambassadors to the community at large, to expand our membership and to engage people and get them actively coming into the library, discovering the library if they haven't before, rediscovering it in the new building. And that's going to make a huge difference in our success. So I thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. I did want to mention as well, I'm very excited that we have 2 half-day sessions coming up next week that we'll be convening. We're closing our library to the public because we need to do some very thoughtful strategic planning for the new library. So we're going to be bringing in members of our governance board. Our entire library staff will be there, and we have a couple members from the community to come together, looking at our vision, looking at our mission, looking at our strategic planning to figure out how to ensure that this library will be a success going forward. So I thank you for past financial support and the ways that you have advocated for not just Smyrna Public Library, not just Duck Creek Regional Library, but all the libraries in Kent County. And I encourage you to continue that effort. Your efforts are making a huge difference in communities. And I would encourage you to pay a visit not just to your local library, but to all the libraries to see all the different ways that that's happening. So I thank you and open to questions.
I missed this. When is the expected completion date of the library now, since it's been delayed?
I'm sorry.
Do they expect the library to be completed?
Thank you. I should have included that in the slides. We've had a couple of minor setbacks because of the recent weather, but it hasn't deterred things too much. So the timeline as it stands right now, and this is official, we will be, our last day that will be open to the public at Smyrna Public Library will be Saturday, March 15th. My expectation is that the staff will show up Monday morning, March 17th, ready to pack a whole lot of boxes. We have to be out of our current space at the end of business on March 31st. That is required of us by the town of Smyrna because they have plans for the space. We hope that we will have access to the new building under a temporary CO. You know, that timeline is a little soft right now, but we hope to be able to get into that new building probably, I would say, by the end of March, very beginning of April, to start the work of preparing that building to open to the public. And most likely, we will anticipate opening to the public by the end of April or very early in May. We do anticipate an official ribbon cutting ceremony that will be a little bit later on. We'll probably go with a soft opening, much like Harrington did and some of the other libraries.
Which we did a walkthrough in Harrington at our last meeting before they officially opened to everyone. So that's why I was asking an anticipated date so that we can continue to support as we've done with the other library.
Sure.
Does any of the committee members have any questions?
Thank you very much.
Milford Public Library.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Leah Roselle, so I am the director at the Milford Public Library. I've met you briefly prior to this, but I've been there just under 18 months, so I just will give you a little update about how we're doing. This is a little organizational chart. You see our board of trustees, and then our management staff includes myself, our assistant director, Sarah, circulation manager, James, and operations manager, Heather. We have 7 full-time staff members and 9 part-time. And cruising along. I mean, there were some staffing changes when I first took over, so I'm really happy with the structure that we have in place now. So things are starting to really roll along. Amanda Robertson actually previously worked at the Dover Public Library and then moved to Vermont, where she got her MLIS, and now she's back in Delaware, so she's now our teen services librarian in Milford, and we're very happy to have her. General, just a nice sort of snapshot for you guys about Milford. So Milford is very vibrant and diverse. We have a lot of ethnic variety. There's a lot of seniors, but a lot of families. So it's a really vibrant place to be. You can see that the population growth of Milford has outpaced Delaware's growth as well as the United States. Our poverty level is much higher than the general level in Delaware, and also still much higher than that in the United States. And as you can see, our reading proficiency levels are pretty sad. So what we find, it's a very different experience than my previous life in the Lewis Library. It's a lot more addressing specific societal needs and filling in as a real part of the community's infrastructure. I know we like to say community center, and I feel like that's been sort of overused and now doesn't have that much impact with a lot of our representatives and people like that. But really what I find in Milford is that we are part of the infrastructure of that place. People come to us to stay warm or to eat. Those kinds of things, like general needs, are being addressed at the Milford Public Library. I did a quick sort of a breakdown of what our income and expenses are for FY25. Obviously, this is budgeted. So you guys can see that the lion's share of our expenses are salaries, wages, and benefits, which is pretty common for Delaware. It's a little higher than I'd like it to be currently, but again, we made some improvements, in my opinion, and I'm paying for them. So you can see that Kent County, the levy court, and the tax district is responsible for 27.5% of our annual operating income. And it's broken down up there through Delaware Division of Libraries, Sussex County as well. Milford is that rare bird that gets funding from both counties because we sit right on the line. Maintenance, you can see, is another large expense, which is something that we'll cover as we move forward. So our construction, we have a very big facility. The square footage is absolutely adequate, but currently the footprint is not ideal. And so we did get money from DDL for a needs assessment, which was conducted by the Becker Morgan Group, as well as CMTA. And this was a feasibility study that was really about the HVAC system. Unfortunately, it sort of came cart before horse kind of thing. So we had the money for the feasibility study to basically architect an HVAC system replacement, and then said, oh, well, we got this needs assessment money. So now the HVAC project is a little bit on hold while the needs assessment comes around. So basically what we're working with is redesigning the facility in a more thoughtful way. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Milford, but yes, so head shaking. The children's wing is all by itself on the first floor. It's a security issue. It's a staffing issue. I tend to have to run overstaffed in there because of safety. And so there are some really easy fixes that we can make to the facility to make it more thoughtful and more effective. As part of that needs assessment, we did multiple different focus groups. Some of them were with the local businesses. Other ones were government officials, obviously community members, families, but also, but like the police department and all that stuff. So we took all of that security information, all of those things into consideration as they were formulating the outcome of the needs assessment. And basically they landed where we did. The square footage is fine, it's just the footprint that needs update. Recently though, the building's fire suppression system failed, which is a big deal in a library, so we had to update that, which was costly and unfortunate, but now we're safe. So I wanted to go through some of the partnerships. That's something that is really important for every library. It really allows us to leverage the resources that are available in the community and also pull expertise. So a lot of times we do, downtown businesses. We participate in the annual holiday stroll. We worked with different businesses to hide the Grinch in their places. The kids found them and then came back to the library and got a prize. It was like a Grinch hunt. We also work with the DDL telehealth kiosk and navigator. Our navigator's name is Wanda. She's there on Tuesdays and Thursdays. She's always busy. She's never alone. She's never sitting. And we're really fortunate. We have 2 native Spanish speakers on staff, which is really important in Milford. So that also, comes in handy. And we recently just hooked up with a Haitian woman who comes in now on Wednesdays to help the Haitian Creole population, which is quite large in Milford. Library resources, I just wanted to point out, so we do partner with outside people to get grants and smaller stuff on a local level. So for instance, Purdue's right down the road from Milford Library, and they employ a lot of Spanish-speaking people. So they gave us money to support Mango Languages, which is an online learning database. And the Lions Club, gave us a grant to purchase Children's World Book Collection. Nonprofit and government partnerships, there's just a billion that we could name. We have DHSS bring their mobile health unit. We've given vaccines and flu shots. We partner up with the Blood Bank, Milford Museum. I mean, the list goes on and on. That's our bread and butter. Program highlights, we are trying to infuse a little more fun, I would say, into the library. For, the past couple of years, it's been very focused very much on education, and that's great. But we also want it to be a fun place. And so we're doing more, crafts and activities, more music series and concerts, things like that. But everybody's sort of getting in on the fun. So while it's fun, it's also still meaningful. So we did Cooking with Cops, where Chief Ash, first female Milford Police Chief, came in and cooked with the kids. We do STEM activities all the time. I mean, generally you can walk in and there's a passive program that the kids can just walk up to every day. And we actually work with early engineering as well to give away the STEM kits, and the kids really like that. So our collections and resources, of course, are made up of much of what you've already heard from others. The physical materials like books and movies. We are also sort of growing our Library of Things collection. We have things like leaf blowers and electric drum kits, which are pretty cool. Databases, a lot are provided by DDL, thank you, Annie, but also we provide access to Newsbank and Mango Languages on our own. Emerging technologies, we have 3D printers, VR headsets, audio and video production equipment, and coding robots. And I name those specifically because I do think it's important in this environment that kids and teens especially create content and not just consume it. And so they like to watch YouTube, but how is that made? That's science and engineering. There's so many pieces to that. And so I think it's good to highlight the things that they're into and then show them how they can make a job out of it or learn something. And of course, our computers and internet and Wi-Fi. So our general fiscal year 24 overview, you can see there were about 113,000 visits to MPL, and that's a 6% increase over the year before. We've created over 2,000 new library cards. We've had 18,000, almost 300 people participate in our programs. And so it's just continuing to grow year after year. And really the funds that are provided by the tax district as a result of your advocacy really are what make it possible for us to provide these things. We just wouldn't be able to, buy coding robots or get cool STEM kits and things like that for the community if we didn't have your support. So thank you. And that's it. Any questions? All right, thanks very much.
Thank you very much for presenting. Public Library.
Good evening, everybody. If you saw my presentation 2 years ago, you'll recognize this slide. That's because it was expensive. I will be brief, and I will apologize if I start coughing. I'm recovering from the flu that everyone in the world has right now. You'll also recognize this slide because it was expensive. Excuse me. So the Dover Public Library is a branch of the City of Dover. I report to Dave Hugg, who is our current city manager. We're also a member of DDL-DLC, which has already been talked about a little bit. We report to the Dover equivalent of this board, the Dover Library Advisory Commission. Current chair of that is Zach Carter, who many of you know. Our current city council liaison is Fred Neal, who I assume everybody knows. And we also have two organizations that work with us, the Friends of the Dover Public Library and the Dover Public Library Foundation, but I'll talk about them on a different slide. We do not have anything nearly as impressive as a new building to talk about tonight, but we have done a few capital projects. This is one I was particularly proud of. We had EDIS come in and do this. The reading garden benches out in front of the building on the Lockerman Street side. They had just fallen into a bit of disrepair over the 10 years that they'd been out there in the weather, so the wood was starting to fall apart. The hardware was actually coming out of it, so you could pick up the slats and have a sword fight with them. So we had those redone. This was done with a Brazilian hardwood, which is actually used in marine environments. They use it to build docks because it's apparently supposed to be super resilient. They said it would last for 25 to 30 years. So I'm pleased that we were able to do that project and just clean that area up a little bit. Other capital projects we've done were harder to take pictures of, but we have increased our security cameras. We now have 56, I think. We had to update, we now run them off 2 servers, so it's a pretty sophisticated system. And we're continuing to do lighting upgrades throughout the building. We're putting in LED systems, which are a little bit less expensive to operate, and they last a little bit longer. So. One project that has been a little bit on hold, but something that we are excited about, is we're kind of rebranding what used to be the Inspiration Space in the Small Business Center into what we're calling the community classroom. So what we're trying to do is take all of our educational programs, like for instance tonight we're doing a program that we call Mix It Up, which is a kind of a food prep program where we teach people how to make like hot cocoa mix or soups or different kinds of things out of dry goods. We're going to try to pull all of those programs into this space that's up on the 2nd floor. We're going to replace all of these tables. We've done the tables already. All the tables are being replaced with tables that are on wheels that fold down. So we can rearrange the room basically however we want to do it. We also want to replace all of the PCs with laptops. That was going to get done as part of the PC deployment for this year, but that obviously got placed on hold, as Dr. Norman was talking about. So we'll revisit that project once we know what the timeline is going to look like. In staffing news, we've had a couple of promotions. Rosie Mujica has been promoted to Librarian 2. She's the head of youth services. She took over for Susan Elizabeth Cordell, who moved to Division of Libraries. Rosie's a great success story at our library. She started out as a page and she worked her way up. She's now head of one of our largest departments. We also rehired Elizabeth Miller. She had worked part-time at the Dover Library in the teen services area. She worked with Amanda, who was mentioned earlier. She left to work at Rehoboth Beach, I believe, and now she is back as our teen services librarian. We're also heavily involved in the Delaware Library Association. Our adult services librarian was the 2023-2024 president of the PLD division. Elizabeth is the current president of that same division, and our circulation services librarian, Kathy Lee, is the DLA membership chair. For collections, we are also going forward with our Library of Things. This graphic didn't cost me anywhere near as much as the other one. I did want to put it in just to say thank you to Nicholas for making it. We are focusing pretty heavily on board games to start with. That's probably going to be the bulk of our collection. We don't have them out yet. They're currently in cataloging, but we have amassed a collection. We figured out storage solutions for it. We have the telescope that has started to become very popular. We've put out other items that were made available by DDL. We moved a lot of stuff around in the Teen Loft. We used to do what we called a bookshop model, so we would group things together on, we called like world events or adulting or these kinds of things. What we found was that we had a lot of very small collections that didn't circulate very heavily, but they still took up a lot of space because we had to separate them all. So we've consolidated them back down into just nonfiction under DDC, and that has given us a lot more flexibility in the room. The only other major thing on collections is that we're in the process of shifting away from CDs and moving more to playaways. So that's just keeping up with technology as it changes. For programs and events, I am not going to try to read this whole list, but we do a lot of things at Dover, obviously. One thing that took me a little bit by surprise was that Dungeons & Dragons became incredibly popular again. So we started with just a teen group. That turned into 2 teen groups, and then we added an adult group. So people really like Dungeons & Dragons. We've added a number of more film series. So we used to do just the Tuesday movies, but we added French films back in. That's a once-a-month program where it's a French-speaking film. I think it's a local club that gets together and they pick out which titles are going to be shown. And the monthly classic films has actually been a nice partnership with the Schwartz Center. We had a screening of Nosferatu over there where we had a very good turnout for a silent film from the 1920 something. But one big success has been our passport acceptance facility. We opened this in 2016. Right now it's open 3 days a week. We're trying to get it open every day of the week. We recently got money from the city to add a 3rd passport clerk. So our clerks are part-time. They work 18 hours a week. With 3 of them, I believe we can work out a schedule to be open 7 days a week. Right now we only have 2, so we haven't been able to initiate that. But The real fun part is that in FY23, revenue from the Passport Center for the City of Dover surpassed $100,000 for the first time. It was $122,860 that year, and it's been over $100,000 every year since. So that's been a real boon to the City of Dover. For community support, we have the Friends of the Dover Public Library. They operate the bookshop on the first floor of the library. They do an amazing job. They go through a large number of books. We're always very surprised at the amount of revenue that they generate. They're almost hounding me to spend money on things, which is a nice problem to have. The Dover Library Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. They were formed when they were building the new building in Dover, and now they've shifted to an endowment for long-term support of the library. Their goal is to get to $500,000. They are currently at $353,148. So making good progress there. In the FY24-25 city budget, the city appropriation was $2,146,000. That appropriation is for personnel costs associated with the building itself, so elevator maintenance, cleaning, those kinds of things. Pays for our security guards and for custodial services. The state grant, which is the money from Division of Libraries, was $396,939. Those funds are used for our print and AV collection. We get very little money from the city for print. We get, I think it's $54,000 from them for books. We don't get anything for AV from the city. All of that comes from the state aid. That also pays for all of our programs and events, and it is our contribution back to the state for eMedia. Our goal is to take the total amount that we spend on our collection, take 20% of that. That's what we try to give back to the state for eMedia. The impact of library tax district funding. So in FY25, it was $154,937. In FY24, it was $153,839. So that stays about even over the first 2 years of it. This chart is a little bit misleading. I made a mistake on it and I didn't notice it until after I had already sent it to you, so I apologize about that. So the green slice, that's people that live within the city of Dover. This is just the number of books that have been checked out. The blue slice is everybody else that's in Kent County. The yellow slice is actually, I got this wrong, yellow slice is Sussex County, Newcastle County, and people from out of state. So realistically, if I was to redo this, there would be another slice, which would presumably be red, just for novelty. But so one of the things that we are noticing is that post-pandemic, the number of people that live outside the city of Dover that use the Dover Public Library has increased. It used to be about a third, now it's up over half. So this is something that the Dover equivalent of this group has been paying attention to and talking about. They will probably be reaching out either to this group or to the levy court to have a conversation about making sure that the revenue coming from the county just kind of matches up to the amount of use that's happening at the facility. So Fred Neal, who is our council liaison, is really kind of driving that project, so I'm kind of being deferent to him on how he wants to proceed with it. With that, I'll end where I should have started with the slide about me and ask if there are any questions.
Any questions from the committee?
All right,
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you very much.
Now Kent County.
Okay, well, first off, I'd like to start by thanking Jody Sweeney for securing this space for our use this evening, and also point out that the president of the levy court, Joanne Maston, is also here this evening. I would like to thank her for her presence. I do look forward to this opportunity to hear about all the other libraries, the progress, and what they've been up to, and where they think they're going, and compare it to what we've been doing at Kent County, and take notes so that I can go and improve mine too. I'm sure other people take notes about the other libraries' progress and use them the same way. I want to thank all of the leadership that came tonight so that they could share their progress with all of us. And then I'd like to go and to share an overview of the Kent County Division of Libraries' journey since our last State of the Library presentations in 2023. This is a summary highlighting the division's recovery since COVID and a brief glimpse into our intent for the immediate future. Well, unsurprisingly, visitor counts dropped dramatically during and after the pandemic, but as you can see, the current swing is upward swing in attendance, and that's encouraging. In the calendar year 2024, the Delaware Library Consortium circulated 1 million items system-wide. Part of that was due to the increased use of Libby Overdrive and Hoopla ebooks, which are increasingly popular and are important factors in the circulation of materials. They are bridging the gap that libraries have seen in a drop in circulation in hard copies, and people tend to be using those virtual opportunities much more heavily. The Kent County Division of Libraries offers about 300 programs a year. All of the off-site programs, attendance and programs are attributed to the mobile library, and on-site programming is attributed to the library building. Both the mobile library and the building have seen a surge in attendance. Part of it is because it's easy to access the online catalog provided through the state library so that people can see what's coming up, not just at our library, but at every library throughout the entire state. It's a wonderful resource. And they can register for programs while they're looking at them. Also, very convenient. While the mobile library does do its fair share of outreach programs, PTA meetings, library card drives, parades, events, its most popular series is the summer music series, Arts in the Park. They're held at Bracknock Park during the summer and have been held there for 1.5 decades. Attendance soared when we switched our weekly advertising to the Delaware State News last year, and we had hoped to add Instagram, blogs, and other social media options to piggyback on that success. I'm not sure if all of you are aware of it, but 1 out of 5 Americans have very low literacy skills, especially the adults. It impacts economic stability, food and housing security, healthcare quality, mental health, and public safety. It affects all. The Delaware Literacy Alliance, through the Delaware Division of Libraries and partners, are working toward, together with the Delaware Library Consortium, to provide an intergenerational plan to elevate literacy at all life stages, to ensure that every Delawarean can thrive in an empowered, literate society. Delaware Division of Libraries' current consortium initiative is literacy initiatives, and families who read together create lifelong learners. We want them to encourage them to read in daily life. And while DDL's focus is largely on illiterate adults, this axiom still applies. Kids who read succeed. And we are often telling people, get a library card. It's easy, it's free, it's online. Get a library card and use it often. Last month, there was an article in Bay to Bay, Delaware State News, about how Kent County spreads holiday cheer with giving initiatives. We like to give back to the community that gives so much to us. We work with many, many agencies, as many libraries do, including the Delaware Division of Public Health, Community Health Services Mobile Health Unit. They provide free diabetes screening, blood pressure readings, cholesterol testing, lead screening, HIV testing and counseling and referral, educational materials, vaccinations, handicap accessibility to their mobile van, and they even show up at things like our Arts in the Park. We did Operation Warm, and we did Stepping Towards Success with the help of the Delaware Division of Libraries. And this year, we handed out 80 brand new winter coats from size 4T to 16 youth, as well as 80 pairs of brand new sneakers to children of a variety of sizes who are economically disadvantaged. This led us to partner with several other agencies throughout the county so that we could reach those people who are most likely to need this and are in the greatest need. We do food drives in conjunction with the Kent County Public Safety, Department of Public Safety, and the Food Bank of Delaware. We do 2 or 3 of these a year. One of the new things that we did this year was a costume giveaway, tremendously successful. We handed out 80 costumes in sizes infant through teen near the holiday of Halloween. Like Milford, we also offer Mango Languages Mango Languages offers over 70 world language courses expertly designed to adapt to diverse ranges of learning needs, styles, and backgrounds. And whether it's a new language or brushing up on one that you already know, you could start the conversation today. All you have to do is go online and sign up. Polytech, ESL, and Lake Forest Spanish classes use them as part of their curriculum. And in fact, we are now partnering with Polytech to offer ESL classes 2 mornings a week, and they have 30 students on each day. We supplement the CR Chinese immersion program as well with the Chinese modules that Mango offers. Homeschoolers make good use of this because you can track your hours as well as your scores and provide them to the Department of Education, so that has also been an important use of that particular resource. But in addition to that, we offer BrainFuse programs online. Job Now, Help Now, Vet Now. Help Now is an on-demand, anytime, anywhere e-learning program. It features homework help, skills building, personalized and e-learning tools, 24-hour writing labs, homework, send questions, adult learning center, foreign language lab. All the services that it has are in both English and Spanish, and it runs from preschool all the way up through baccalaureate. Job Now provides online job coaching every day from 2 o'clock to 11 p.m. You can receive live job coaching, real-time interview practice, full-service resume lab, 24/7 access to local job resources, and other features include resume assistance, skills building, and Spanish language or Spanish-speaking support. Vet Now is unique in Delaware. It connects users with an expert who will guide them through their eligible VA benefits and community resources. You interact with a live real-time veteran navigator to job coaching, resume assistance, tutoring, testing support, career resources, skills building, and Spanish-speaking support. We also provide outreach via the mobile library to the Veterans Home in Milford. The current trend in libraries are Library of Things. It includes MiFi and Chromebooks and blood pressure cuffs through the Delaware Division of Libraries, even a telescope. We also circulate dulcimers when we're offering dulcimer classes. We look for partnerships throughout the community. We include a series of outdoor films hosted in tandem with the Kent County Parks and Rec at the Kent County Recreation Center. We offer free unlimited Wi-Fi, also available in the library, mobile library, and even in the library parking lot. Kent County Public Library was recently awarded a Creative Aging Grant through the Delaware Division of Arts, an 8-week drawing class led by an instructor from the Delaware Museum of Art, culminating in a gallery showing of the participants' artwork. It's very similar to KCPL's already very successful open art studios that feed into our annual Tiny Art Show, miniature art, 4 by 4 inches. The New Zealand Pen Pal program has proven to be a surprise success too. We have over 700 registered participants statewide on both sides when you combine everything. The coordinator, Robin Agar, has been showcased at the 2024 DLA-MLA conference in the spring of 2024, and she'll be speaking at the National ALA Conference, American Library Association, about this success story in June of 2025. I think that the thing that really drives our library is innovation, a willingness to move beyond the way things have always been done. You have professional development opportunities for all staff, regardless of whether they're part-time or full-time, and a supportive environment that's integral to Kent County's success. I would also add that we're very grateful to the Delaware Division of Libraries for the Ada Soul Scholarship that is available to residents of Delaware, and many of our staff, part-time and full-time, have taken advantage of this wonderful program successfully. I am one of those success stories. I got my doctorate that way. And the Friendly Library on the Highway was recognized by the Delaware Library Association when it awarded Kent County Public Library the 2024 Library of the Year. Coming up is the 15th anniversary of being at Longacre Center in June of 2025. And while I listen to the other libraries throughout the county describe the benefits of enjoying more space, I realize that it's also time to consider expanding the current library, or at least building a new one. We suggest that the county apply to the Delaware Division of Libraries for funding for a needs assessment. The current minimum size of a public library has increased to 25,000 square feet since Kent County opened itself in its current space. Kent County Public Library is 10,200 square feet, including the boiler room. And it's like having a child who's 15 years ago and then expecting to still fit in the bassinet 15 years later. We've outgrown the space, and we need to start considering how we're going to address that. One thing that we will be asking for is additional seating and wire chairs and seminar tables to accommodate the standing room only crowds, particularly for arts performances. And I might add that even though the mobile library is still the one we can refer to as the new mobile library, it needs a new wrap, and it's from 2018. It's time. Not complaining, though. I'm very grateful for everything that we're able to do here. We have a very supportive leadership. We are looking forward. We want to thank you for the 2 amazing years since our last State of the Library presentation, and as we move forward, we are looking forward to exciting programs, book discussions, author events, summer reading, many more adventures, and we're grateful for and sincerely appreciate your past support, your current interest, and your future advocacy for Kent County's library and mobile unit. Thank you.
Does any of the members have any questions for Kent County? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there any questions from the public? We will give you 3 minutes to ask a question. Does anyone have any questions or comments that they would like to talk about now? Please come up to the podium.
Annie Norman again. I just want to say thank you to all of the libraries that did fabulous presentations. I really love this event. I'm thinking we should have a library town meeting like this. All the libraries do that. But no, the reason I came up here was just to say, so a couple of you mentioned the scholarships. We have a lot of scholarship money. And we want to do a survey to see, because now it not only pays for masters, it will pay for bachelors as the on-ramp and doctorates, as Hillary mentioned. So please encourage all the staff to take advantage of that educational funding. Thanks.
Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else that would like to make a comment or question? I will close that. Any other questions or comments from the committee? Then I will request us to adjourn. Anyone would like to second that? We will adjourn, and thank you for attending, and thank you for your presentations tonight. We appreciate hearing everything that you guys are doing.